yeah, we take the show to a whole different, dude, we'd probably start crying like, Matt. And then he said this, and then she said that. I was like, what the fuck do I do? Yeah.
I'm a very lovey, happy, drunk kind of person when I drink. Like
Yeah.
I'm a warm person. Yeah, like it's not. I'm not. I don't get too sobby, and I don't get mean. I'm not a mean person.
I get pretty stupid.
Yeah,
Oh
no,
God, yeah,
is
I
that the
get dumb.
point?
Oh yeah. Oh
A
yeah.
little of that's not bad.
Oh, I get dumb as fuck. Mm. So we're streaming. Let's start
All
this.
right, cheers.
Okay. So I'm just gonna move this over like that. So we're like, psh, psh, psh. All right, cool. Here we go. On three. One, two, three, go. What's up, faders? Welcome to yet another action-packed episode of Got Faded Japan, and I am your host, Johnny. And as you fine folks know, Got Faded Japan is about two dudes, booze, Japan, and the news. But in this episode here, faders, it is early in the morning. It's was it one? It's one. We should be drinking. But it's all good because we're drinking coffee. It's earlier in the day. It's tea time. And faders, this is episode number 771. And I'm very happy because
That's a nice number.
it is a pretty good number. 771. 771. 777 is going to be a good number.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're almost there.
I'm close. It's taken years. But yeah, we're close to 777. But right now, I'm very thrilled because we're here at 771. And faders, I'm here with a very good friend of mine, a man of Japan, a guy that's making it here, a guy that's kicking tail and taking names in this city. He's doing a lot. And yeah, I'm very happy for him to be on the show and for him to talk about what he's doing for in the past, present, and future. And hopefully we can learn some really great things along the way. Faders, I'm here with Matthew Moss. Matthew, thank you so much for being here, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah. Congratulations, man. I did it.
You did.
I did. I'm
You
finally a
did. You
podcast. No, I'm congratulating myself.
I'm
I'm on the show.
congratulating you too.
No, I'm congratulating the world. It's spring. There's cherry blossoms outside.
That's a
It's
good thing to
beautiful.
congratulate.
By the way, have you seen the cherry blossoms anywhere?
Not yet. Not yet. I need to go. I live 3 blocks from Wenokoen, so I got to go over and check it out. But yeah, I saw a little hint. There's just the slightest bit of pink that's starting to permeate. I did catch the ume though.
Oh, did you? Yeah, those are pretty nice too.
Yeah, Ushima. In Ushima, is gorgeous.
Yeah. So how do you enjoy the cherry blossoms? Do you meet up with your friends and you go to the park and you chill out there with some beers or Nihonshu or something, or?
Sure, that's good. You know what? I actually I like it. I like to kind of do it on a day by day basis.
Mhm.
Like find a time like during that little, window that we have when everything turns pink and like go through it and feel the process out, right? Like day one or in the beginning, you just get a little bit of the hint of pink and then it starts to go crazy. And then, until the point that it's literally raining down all around you. So, it's fun to take friends and have that day that you're with your friends there. But I also really like kind of going through the process of watching nature happen.
Cool. That's a great way to do it. Yeah, I kind of enjoy doing it at night.
Night is good.
Night is great, especially along Meguro River.
Yeah,
down the
Meguro
street.
is amazing.
Oh
Yeah.
God, yeah.
Megrogawa. Yeah. So I have a side business giving private tours. I don't know if I even got into this with you at any point in time.
No, I'm learning so much already.
Okay. So one of the things is that if possible, when people book me, it's really just a side business that I started getting referrals on. So I love taking them to Nakameguro and Megrogawa. It's one of the greatest places. People just love it. And hey, what's not to love?
Yeah, it's a great place. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. There's so many like nice little like shops and boutiques along the way and stuff. Great cafes. There's an amazing bar called Coasters. Have you been to Coasters?
Where is it?
Dude,
I think I know like the name rings a bell and I'm sure I've walked by.
It's on the same block as whatchamacallit, Don Quixote. No, it's really near the same block as Don Quixote and where the Starbucks is or whatever. I think it's on the
Is it on
block.
that side or is it on the opposite side of the river?
It's what's it called? It's a 90 degree angle from the river. So if the river's right here, it's like right up here. So it's in between Meguro River and Yamate Dori, some inside baseball.
Yeah.
And anyway, it's called Coasters. You could just Google Coasters, but it's like this new microbrewery that's in town. They got the best damn pizza. I know you're from New York. I know, in Japan, I think it's the best pizza. The pizza is phenomenal. They got this like 4-star chef this guy is just making the dough fresh, making everything fresh. Everything's fresh. The pizza it blew me away. And on top of that, the beers were spectacular. Oh my God, it was
decent
great.
beer. I mean, The thing with pizza is, and there is a kind of a philosophy, right? Like, you know, I've accepted over the years I'm never going to be entirely satisfied with pizza, right? So instead of worrying about whether it's going to hit the right mark, it's like, can this be interpreted into something interesting, right? And if so, like it comes away, like you get it right away, right? Like, and that's it. That's all there is to it. Like, don't expect what you're not going to get, right? Because otherwise, you just set yourself up for disappointment.
Oh, I guess you're right, huh? Yeah, so if you like it, you like it.
You like it. If you don't, you don't.
There
Right.
you go.
Yeah. Give it a chance on its own.
Yeah, but Koshers is great, and there's so many good places here to enjoy and stuff. Yeah, it's a great place. But yeah, so like after last train, like all the tourists are gone and all the people
when it gets nice.
Yeah. It's very quiet and stuff. That's when my wife and I we go to the convenience store. We'll get like maybe like a little bottle of whiskey or some wine or some beers, and then we'll just walk along. Cause they keep the lights on almost all night, so you just walk along and just enjoy the flowers and stuff. And now that I said this out loud on the internet, there's gonna be 1 million people there tomorrow.
How is it? I didn't even get a chance to see when I rode over here. Is it starting to bloom over on River?
It's very, very slow. It's like a little here, a little there and stuff. It's peppered. It's less than peppered, to be honest. I think by today's Monday, I think by Friday, we're gonna be in it. We're gonna be in it. But I was in Wayno last Friday and in Wayno Park, and Wayno Park was already blowing up. I don't know why over there. It was like, happening.
They've got in the front of Wayno Park, there's if you come in from like Amayoko area, right? There's the stairwell that leads up into the park.
That's it.
And always there's 2 big cherry trees there that are those early blooming cherry trees.
At the center? Yeah.
Like right in the very front by the stairwell. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So those always blow up the first, right? And then like around Shinobazuike, around the pond.
Yep.
Those kind of slowly, so they might, I don't know. I have to go over there. Now I'm feeling bad. Like shit. I haven't taken the time to go over there.
Just wait a couple of days and then you can go anywhere.
Oh yeah, I know.
They'll be everywhere, man.
After recording, I might have to take a stroll by the park just to check.
Absolutely. No, it's a great place. I went there was it Friday? I went there last Friday for an antique show.
Oh yeah, there was a big antique show.
Dude, I'm so into antiques, dude. I feel weird being into antiques, but I absolutely love it. I bought a painting that's like 150 years old. I bought it for $30, sansen yen.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, how much is this? And the guy's like, sansen gohaku yen, 3,500 yen, $35. And then I was like, oh, okay. And it was so awesome. I'll show it to you after the show. I was like, all right. But just me being me, I was like, I'll give you 3,000. I negotiated for this priceless piece of artwork.
I love antique markets here because I find like the antique markets here, this country, New York is good for this. Like my hometown is Miami, right? And we don't have we have antiques, but they only go back to like 1940 or something, right? Because Miami's not that old of a place. So like living in Tokyo where there's like hundreds and hundreds of years of history. You go to an antique fair here, you never know what you're going to see. I mean, you can see something that's like from the Showa period, or you can see something that's like 400 years old. And like, there's these, you gotta rifle around, but you'll find some cool shit.
You definitely do. Yeah. I bought some, I've showed this in a previous podcast, but I bought some old comic books that are like over 200 years old. I've bought
like old, like the ukiyo-e manga. That's
exactly. Yeah. I got a tsuba, which is like a handguard from a samurai sword, katana, whatever. So I love those. I think those are absolutely spectacular. But I mean, the whole blade itself is absolutely amazing. But antique shows are kind of like this, secret passion that I have. So whenever I hear of like a good one popping up, I'm just like, I gotta go. Yeah. Cancel all my meetings.
Yeah. And then, like you could kind of, if you're into like interior design and decorating, like you could really put together like something very stylistic for your space with on a very tight budget just by hitting up the antique fairs around here.
Oh yeah. No, it's great. Yeah, I highly recommend that to anybody and everybody that's coming to Japan or living in Japan. The antique shows are absolutely fantastic. And make sure you buy something, all right? Don't just look at something and then handle it and then walk away. Buy something. Buy a postcard. They have postcards that are like 100 years old.
True. Those
postcards are really crazy too.
Yeah.
Dudes. Like, whoa.
Yeah, they got some stylish, like old Art Deco period things that you'll find, like postcards and print stuff that's pretty cool. Yeah. I love that, like Japanese design from that period.
Yeah, it's very cool. Speaking of periods, when did you come to Japan?
I came here in 2013.
2013. Okay. All right. You paid your dues.
Yeah, I've been here for a while.
Yeah.
I've been here for a
Nice.
while.
So, okay, you were born in Miami, lived in New York,
Hmm.
and in New York, that's where you got your hands dirty in art, right?
No, actually, I got my hands dirty in art from the time that I was a little kid. My family is in the arts. My mother is a very well-known decorative painter in Miami and
Cool.
interior designer. Her brother was a very famous photographer who was murdered in 1982, and there's a whole story and documentary about him and his work. It's still highly collectible.
Wow.
Um, and so from the whole time that I was growing up, like art and the art scene in Miami was my kind of schoolhouse.
Hmm.
And then I always knew though I wanted to go to New York.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, New York's great.
um, I studied illustration and design,
Hmm.
and then I went to school for cartoon illustration and animation and started working in the newspaper business as a syndicated editorial cartoonist.
Very
So
cool.
that was my path. And then, I'm already getting a little old. So like I could see the writing on the wall of the newspapers that, Craigslist came into being, right?
Hmm.
And there was no, all the revenue, the ad revenue went down. So cartoonists were getting fired left and right. And I was fortunate because at that time, I was still at a growing paper. And that was a whole interesting experience because the paper was owned. My parents were hippies, but the paper was owned by a conservative organization that supported Jeb and George W. Bush.
Uh-oh.
And so I was always kind of having to come up with ways to find jokes that would be funny, that would be like linguistic jokes,
Hmm.
instead of ever having to compromise my own kind of political and social values, right?
Yeah.
And it actually worked out really well for me. There were a lot of old people, so I'd make jokes around language and things like that. And I got a lot of I mean, I did well. I won, some press awards doing that job. So,
Mm.
but I knew that there was a timetable for which that was coming to an end. And I wanted to find somewhere else that I could use my skills. And I grew up also with a passion in board games and tabletop games and RPG
Nice.
and all of that kind of stuff. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to go into the game industry. And that's when I went to New York. And when I went to New York, I started working as an art director at a game studio.
Very cool. Can you talk
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah, so when I first started, this would have been around 2000, 2001, 2002. It was just like during the war, right? So I left during the war. I left newspaper and went to Iraq war, and then in Afghanistan. And I went to a studio that was producing Flash games. I don't know if you remember Flash.
I remember Flash. I used to build websites
In
with
Flash,
there's Flash and then there's
Macromedia,
Dreamweaver.
the
Yeah.
Macromedia suite. Yeah,
Yeah. That was fun. That was
yeah.
fun.
Fireworks, Dreamweaver, Flash, yeah, that whole
Hmm.
suite. So
Yeah.
Um, and at the time they were building, there used to be like there used to, the sites like Us Weekly and Women's Entertainment Television used to have like a portal space on their site or have a game page on their site, and they would want like all these old school games kind of skinned for their brand.
Hmm.
And so I started like, skinning those things and making them fit to each website. And I had some
Hmm.
pretty big clients. And some of them would want their own unique properties or their own unique games.
Hmm.
And so I started really delving into the game design part of that.
Hmm.
And like one of the big games that I worked on at the time was do you remember a show called Bridezilla? Bridezilla's, I'm sure the name alone could tell you what it's about.
I've been here for a while.
Yeah, all right, all right. So, well, yeah, but this might have been you've been here for a long time, yeah.
I
But
came here, I moved here permanently in 2002.
okay, so this would have been pretty analogous with that time, right? So during that time, there was this show that blew up and on Women's Entertainment TV, and it was all about pain in the ass brides and wedding planning, right?
Oh, we can all relate.
So, um, so I had to come up with a game idea for that. And so what I did was create a wedding boutique and create these stations and a set of orders, and players would come in and have to fulfill orders,
Hmm.
and you control the manager in the situation.
Hmm.
And that was kind of the first game that I did that was kind of a totally unique intellectual property, or a totally unique game design for an intellectual property. And I spent a couple years at that studio, and then I got hired by another studio that was working on bigger properties and stuff for. I made my first MMO. It was called Camp Foo. It was it was like it at that time it was when like social media was going from MySpace to Facebook, right? Like that transition was happening. Twitter was just getting
Whoa.
started.
Mixy
Yeah.
back in the day.
Back in the day. And so we made a game that had a lot of little mini games built into it. And the rewards would be things like getting gear for your character who was a Flash-based avatar, and you could change the hair, you could have hats, and so we had over like 10,000 items that I had to oversee designing for, and themes packs that would come out and all this kind of stuff. So that was my first experience in really doing a bigger scale game type project. And that was a lot of fun. And I also worked on some games at that time for like Lego and National Geographic. So those were, and for me, those were my dream clients, in Lego and National Geographic. So it was pretty,
wow, that's awesome. Yeah, Lego, God, Lego's awesome. Yeah, so big now. Yeah. I mean, it's huge in Japan. Is it big everywhere, anywhere else? Or
I've been here for a long time too. I've been here for a long, but the thing with Lego that's really interesting that's changed over time was when we were kids, like the biggest thing that they had was like the space Legos or the city Lego sets, right?
Yep.
And then the castles and whatnot. And then, but what happened was they really they stopped selling so much, and they started getting more into the licenses, right? And remember, there was like a whole Harry Potter series.
Oh yeah,
and that blew up for them and made them a fortune. And then they got the license for both Marvel and DC. So there's like the Marvel superheroes. So more and more, yeah. So more and more, the Lego stuff started tying into licensed properties, right? And that's really been where they've kind of had a whole nother side of their business that exploded.
Yeah. If you buy Legos anywhere, it's always going to be like Star Wars or Marvel or of course. Yeah. But the prices also exploded. Holy smokes, man.
I will say this. In my experience with working with them, as a third party contractor, they were a great client. Like it's like one of those rare occasions where you like work for somebody that you like or you always want to work with, and then it turns out that they're actually a really good client. Like they gave very clear instructions like in how to handle their brand. And then beyond that, like just kind of had fun turning stuff out and showing it to them and getting their feedback, and they were a really good partner, and it was a really good experience in that regard. So I don't know how it is in their corporation now, but when I was doing that, I was really blown away by how encouraging and enthused they were with what we were doing.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. So you were doing that in New York, and you're working in the art world, right?
Yeah, for sure. And working in music as well. But so I would do shows as a painter. Like in the evenings I would go and paint. I had for a while a painting space in Williamsburg before Williamsburg got too crazy. And I was working with another artist, Tommy Mavra, who's out there somewhere. Tommy, I know where he's at. He's in Philadelphia right now. Who's a great sculptor and a stand-up comedian. And Tommy and I got into a whole series that we started doing on industrialized agriculture and used it to create all these like funky pieces of art around animals and plants, and turn that into a whole series of paintings that we went and showed and got that around different places. As that was the Bought the Farm series. So going back and forth between fine art and commercial art and game making and performance and all of these different components. But the one thing also that's always been really consistent is my involvement in community activity, which is why like one thing I really love about what you're doing, man, I got to give you like your props, because community is a big part of what you're doing. And
almost all I do.
Yeah. But like I think as artists, we don't get enough. We don't, we think that artists are in your studio all day struggling, and we don't realize that like art isn't made in a bubble, and like the input of getting to meet people who are interesting and to have conversation, like that's what fuels making art happen, right? And like whether you come from the sciences or whether you come from like business or whatever it is, like that exchange of ideas and having that like energy, and I think that's why art in New York is such a art in New York is so universal, right? It's because it's such a meeting place. And I think we're really lucky to be here in Tokyo, because Tokyo's the largest city in the world, right? And maybe it's not, we have great things in history and culture here. It's not dynamic exactly in the same way as New York, but just in volume, we really get a lot here in this town, and I love it. I mean that's why I've been here since 2013.
Yeah, absolutely. the center of the art world has changed from place to
For
place to
sure.
place. I mean, it was Rome for the longest time, and then it was France or Paris, of course, and then England. England had a little minute, and then it was New York, definitely New York, and especially from the 1950s until actually quite recently.
Yeah.
But I think Tokyo right now is the center of art on many different levels. And I mean, if you look around and stuff, there's so many art galleries. There's like
Yes.
200 art galleries in Ginza.
Yeah.
Shibuya, there's like 50.
Yeah.
Shinjuku, there's like another 50 or 60.
Yeah.
You know, in Ueno, there's like a huge amount. There's like, I mean, there's maps upon maps and like websites upon websites about like art galleries. And there's so many artists that who are Japanese, but there's also so many artists who are coming to Japan. And I think there's kind of like a culture pot of like artists and art culture
For sure.
in Tokyo at
For
this
sure.
at this very moment, you know. And I think okay, all right, let's be honest. A big deal of it is kind of like the anime girls with like the big old boobies with the big eyes and stuff like
Sure.
that. But there's also a lot of really amazing fine art and photography and street art and
Yeah.
stuff that I think is popping up. And like a lot of graffiti artists are coming here too, which you better be careful. You get busted, you get time. But yeah, there's like a lot of different artists coming here at this moment, exploding the scene, which is already pre-existing. What
Yeah.
are your thoughts on that?
I think there's a lot of reasons why it's happening, right? Like the cost of living here and the civility within this community, I
Hmm.
think is one of the really big things that makes it enticing. I think the history also makes it enticing. I think the anime girls with their big boobies makes it enticing. I think pop culture in this country makes it enticing. Anime, games, all of that feeds in. I think on top of that, when you have that dynamic plus like cuisine, plus
Uh,
mountains, plus the nature of this country that's all very accessible. Like I don't have to have a car to get anywhere here, right?
yeah.
What starts to happen is like I think that New York kind of priced itself out of the art world, like it's ridiculous to have an apartment.
Speaking of Williamsburg,
Yeah, like this, yeah, for real. It's
pretty
crazy.
expensive.
Rent is crazy. Like, and even if I had that kind of income right at this moment, I don't know that I would want to be like living in that. That's not where I want to be. Like it's it creates such a exclusivity. And what's really funny is that this society, which has a long history of being xenophobic and being kind of a closed society, has to kind of come to reckon with the fact that it needs the tax revenue of a bigger population. And I think all this creative energy that's coming here, as well as the yen being weak, is kind of driving a really good energy around opportunity in this town. And so I think for creatives, it's great. And I think that, Japan, the civility of it, like I said, and the fact that, like, on the global level, like, you can't go anywhere in the world and somebody doesn't know something about Japan or have some kind of thoughts about Japan.
Mario,
well, yeah, like that, or whatever it is, like ninjas or something, some kind of
Okay, yeah.
sushi or
Yeah.
like cute cats, maneki neko, like there's something, cherry blossoms, something there's so many strong, profound images that like reach out to people, right? That yeah, like it's a really it calls to people. I know. I was looking at Skytree, and you got Tokyo Tower there too.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah,
I see
yeah,
that.
yeah,
I see
yeah.
that.
I actually used to have New York, but I sold it.
Oh yeah, what is this? Toronto? What is it? Oh no, Singapore.
Oh,
What is this? I know this. I know this. I know this tower.
It's, for being such a unique tower, it is all over the place. No, that's Berlin.
Oh shit.
Berlin, yeah.
I should know. I spent time in Germany too, but not in Berlin. On the other side, in Westphalia. Yeah.
But yeah, so all right, what brought you to Japan? All right, you're in New York and you're making games, you're kicking ass, taking names and stuff. I mean, you're doing a lot of great stuff over there. Why, especially wait, you came here just after the earthquake. So
Yes.
so you came here at that time. That was after actually when you came here is actually a really great time because we were starting to get a lot of like people moving here and a lot of tourists and stuff, whatever. And then after the earthquake, like all the international people just left.
Right. True.
Left. Like, I mean, like all sorts of international like restaurants and companies and stuff are just closing down and stuff. I mean, that's one of the reasons I was a bartender for a few years, just because my friend who owned an international bar, basically all his staff left. And he's like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, I can drink. Maybe I can make a drink. And he's like, you're hired. Come in tomorrow. And that's how I got that job. But it's just like for you to come at that time, it's actually a very special time.
It's funny. Meanwhile, back in the States, just leading up to that. So I think it was 2012 was when I decided to come here. And there's a backstory to this. Like I was living in New York for a long time.
Yeah.
And I met my wife, who was born in Japan but lived in New York City for 20 years already.
She's American.
Yeah, I mean she's a New Yorker. She never lived outside New York. Her in her Japanese accent of English is a lot of like New York sounds, like she sounds like she lived in New York. But she was working for the city of New York, and she's a psychologist. And I was working at my third game studio at that time as creative director. And actually, what was going on was it was when Lehman Shock was going on in the United States. And I was working on a big project, and we had investors, and our investors all got gun shy and they pulled out. And the studio had to close down. And while that was going on, and it had nothing to do with the performance of what we were doing. It just was financial and economic circumstances.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, she was running this program for families in the court system, and their whole budget got also eliminated. And so we were out of work. And at the same time, her father also, he was living here, had Parkinson's, and it was getting bad. And so, we had already had the plan. We'd been together, but I had never come with her to Japan. And we were taking a flight out here. She said it was like New Year's. We're going to come for New Year's. And
of course.
And when I met her, I remember I said to her in the very beginning, I'm like, you're never going back to Japan, right? Because I never saw myself living outside New York at that point.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, I don't want to leave New York. I don't want to leave New York. We love New York. So, and then, we got on the flight, and on our way there, she said, did you ever think about living in Japan? And I said, no, I never thought about it. But, I had a lot of connections to Japan. The DJ for my band was from Tokyo, and he went to engineering school in New York. I had a lot of friends from art school who were from Japan originally. One of my very dearest friends, who was my roommate in Williamsburg, actually, Motoko Fukuyama, who's an amazing, amazing artist, still back in New York. She's like another very dear friend. Like just a lot of people in my life who are very close. My father used to work in the game industry as well, and his clients were like Namco, and he used to work on the old cabinets and fixing them up around, licensing them and fixing them up in South Florida. So I had all these connections to Japan, and I actually when I was studying illustration and getting into doing editorial cartoons, I really got into ukiyo-e because the Tokugawas during the Edo Jidai, right, during the Edo period, the ruling family here in this region, they went through periods where they were like real nasty and went through periods where they were very gentle. But in some of those nastier periods, they put a lot of restrictions on the art. Do you know about this?
I know all about this.
So suddenly you couldn't do things like portray famous personalities inside of the woodblock prints, right? So some of the really interesting artists like Kuniyoshi and whatnot started coming up with interesting kind of allegories and characterizations, like using animals and using other things to represent characters and real people, and to kind of make editorial comments about life here in Japan.
The frogs.
Totally. So that was really, I actually spent a lot of time, and I'd also have a minor in art history. I studied specifically kind of the art history of the movement of Buddhism from India east here into Japan.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
So I had a lot of intellectual and creative curiosity about here, but I was never like and I loved anime and manga, and I had all these things, but I was never like a real hardcore like Japan nerd kind of person. Like I am interested in other places. I'm interested in Turkey. I'm interested in Egypt. I'm interested in Europe and in Central Asia. So it wasn't to the exclusion of anything else. But when I came here, I was really worried, like, oh, it's going to be like lost in translation, and I'm not going to understand anything, and I won't know shit, and it'll feel really out of place. And then when I came here, like I have friends here, and my wife's family was amazing, and I was blown away by being in the city, and we were on the flight back, and I said, why don't we do it? Why don't we just like get out of New York and come to Japan? And I had no idea that was what, 15 years ago, and I'm still here now.
She's here too?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Because I hear quite the opposite, because like I know a lot of like, like girls go to like the United States or other parts of the world, they get married and they never want to come back,
No, she didn't. I think
I know a lot of
circumstantially.
girls like that.
Yeah.
That I went to college with. Yeah.
To be fair to her, yeah, you
You
call them
know
out.
who you
Yeah,
are.
they're out there. Like to be fair to her, I think we made the choice because it was the right choice at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was not, I think that coming back, she dealt with more complications from that than I did in reintegrating into the society after really loving living in New York for so long.
It's kind of tough.
Yeah, especially for a woman, right?
Absolutely.
Especially for a woman. And I give her a lot of credit for what she's done and how she's grown her career since then.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, she found her way into doing things that relate to what she was doing in the United States back here in Japan. So, you know, that's pretty impressive. And
Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. Very cool. So you come to Japan and you've got this amazing myriad of artistic background.
Mhm.
What do you do here? Like,
I decided to
like
start.
I know what you're doing now,
Yeah,
but how did you get to now?
yeah. I'll do this. It took a lot of work. So like, I was a little bit. I think at the time that I first got here, I was a
Uh-huh.
little bit shell shocked, like leaving because I left
Hmm.
like you know like a good job and I was getting paid a lot of money,
Hmm.
and then suddenly like I'm living in a new country and I don't have any income, you know, and like
Hmm.
how am I going to make that happen? And like
Yep.
I didn't speak Japanese when I first came here, like zero,
Yeah.
I thought about, you know, growing up in Miami Beach, there were a lot of immigrants around me. My great grandparents, you know, when I was a kid, were still alive, and they were Russian immigrants, Jewish Russian immigrants that
Hmm.
came in
Hmm.
and, you know, escaped the communist revolution. And I
Hmm.
really believe that, like, if my respect for like other people who have immigrated, right? Like,
Hmm.
I could do it, but you know, it was going to be a challenge. But that was it. So I had to figure it out. And so the first steps in that were like making new connections,
Hmm.
you know. And when I first came here, it's really interesting. It's like you said, there's a
Hmm.
part when I first got here, and like many people, you know, I did a year and a half working part-time at like a language school.
Hmm.
And that was kind of a weird thing in its own right, you
Hmm.
know, because I think it was a really like I'm really glad to be here for so long because there are chapters of time, you know, and like life goes on in sections. But when I first got here, I was really turned off by kind of the um transitory nature of so many people that I was meeting here.
Hmm.
And that they, you know, they were like yellow fever, man. That's a real thing, you know, like dudes who
Hmm.
just come here like and they got yellow fever and they're just like looking to take advantage of, you know, being foreign guys in a
Oh,
foreign
there's a
country.
lot of messed up people here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit earlier.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so that kind of immediately sort of like it made me have a kind of a radar towards the types of people that I was meeting here that were
Hmm.
foreigners
Hmm.
and to be a little bit cautious because I didn't want to be rounded up to being somebody that I didn't feel like, you know, that's not who I am. Like that's
Hmm.
not what I'm here. That's not how I
Hmm.
ended up here.
Hmm.
And don't get me wrong. I mean, obviously, I married someone Asian. It's not like I have any problem with, you know, being attracted to Asian women, but
Hmm.
that's not the be all end all situation, right? So there's a whole life here, and like the good sides and the bad sides, and the grit and the grime and the clean and the pretty and all the different things here. Like I was curious about life here in this country, and so from the beginning, I decided like I'm really gonna do my best to try to like make friends, Japanese friends, and meet people in this country and meet people in Tokyo.
Hmm.
And I was just lucky, man. I met people who, you know, like I'm getting old now, but from 1986 I started freestyling, right? Like I started like cipher rapping as a kid and growing up in Miami. And I met some Japanese cats who were into rapping, and that was a really good entryway into making friends. And some of them were in the arts, so that helped me like open up around the arts. I
Hmm.
met some other artists, and then I started a meetup around 2016, and it was for people interested in design, art, technology, and business.
Hmm.
And then through that, I started getting a lot of like bringing people together, and I wanted people to, you know, find projects, right, and
Hmm.
like help like link people up. And then through that, I met some people at the game studio. They really liked the work that I had done in the past, and they wanted to bring me in on a couple of projects.
Hmm.
And so, as a contract worker, which I was happy to be, I didn't want to go into their office full time. I didn't want to be in that situation. I wanted to be able to kind of control what I was doing, but also I was happy to be a teammate, right?
Hmm.
And so I did some games for them, and some of the clients for that were like, Pete Takeshi. He was doing a game for his Owarai for this comedy thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is, there's a whole video game history there. Like there was a game that was made around him years ago
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of like a notoriously stinker of a game. And it's like one of those so bad it's good kind of things that is legendary back in the United States.
Okay, what is it? I gotta know.
Oh, you have to. That's a whole thing. I remember.
All right,
Yeah, that's a
tell me
whole.
after the
That's
show.
whole.
Tell
Yeah,
me
that's
after
a
the
whole.
show. Tell me
That's
after
a
the
whole.
show.
Yeah, there's something there to
All
get
right.
into that I have to refresh my memory on it to like present it fairly, right?
Uh-huh.
But what it was at the time that I was working up for them was they wanted a game where you're Beat Takeshi and you smack toupees off of people's heads, right? And you're just going around in like Kumamoto and you're smacking bad toupees off of people's heads.
That was a thing.
Yeah.
They didn't smack the thing, but for a while, like toupees were big here.
Right. So
Yeah.
it was like playing off of that.
That's funny.
Yeah. So
It's really funny.
so and
I'm gonna need a toupee.
right. Well, I'm getting gray. It's
It's
happening.
going back further and further.
I can't stop time, baby. Can't stop time.
I can.
More coffee.
Mm.
I'm trying to catch up. But and then there's like a TV show that I did a game for Television Tokyo, for TV Tokyo.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Are you familiar? It was a pretty big show, and the game was #1 in simulation games on Google Play and iTunes Store for a while.
Nice.
It was there was a TV show here called Ike no Mizu Zenbu Nuku. Do you know what that show is?
I don't want. I've almost never for like the last 25 years. I have watched maybe, I would say, less than 20 hours of TV. I'm not a TV guy here.
I'm not a TV guy at all.
Yeah,
but because I was working for it's basic, and I love this because as an artist, right?
Yeah.
As an artist, and I think I kind of hit on this before. For me, one of my biggest inspirations is like science and nature related stuff, and how we as humans, like, when I see like watching the cherry blossoms and watching that process, right? Like that's my meat and potatoes. And growing up in South Florida, we had this problem too, which is like a global phenomenon as humans spread around the world, right? Invasive species. And in this show, Ike no Mizu Zenbu Nuku, it means pull all of the water out of the pond, right? And so these guys would get together. These two guys were the hosts, and they have this truck, and it's filled with pumps, and they go to these waterways. This is a real show. And they go to these waterways where there's like invasive species coming in, and they pump water out of the pond or out, and they separate out the indigenous animals and the invasive species.
So they're running around trying to find like turtles. They're like, there's one.
Yes.
They get like nets. Wait, this is the game, right?
So we made a game version of this.
Yeah.
And it was awesome because you're teaching people about animals, you're teaching people about the environment, you're showing locations all around Tokyo, Japan. There's all kinds of, as you level up, there's interesting things that get unlocked. You have a better pump, or you have better netting, or you do, it's this whole thing, right? So
it's a good game.
Yeah,
I'm in.
So that was a pretty big project, and having the support of the TV show, which was a really successful TV show for Television Tokyo. Behind that, that really helped me kind of connect with other people. And then that was like leading up to the point that COVID, came into play.
Oh, COVID. That's a whole different topic.
Yeah, that's a whole different.
Were you here the whole time for COVID?
I couldn't leave.
Oh God, dude, you want to hear something crazy?
Tell me.
Okay. Before COVID, I used to do live painting in Europe. Yeah, I used to go there twice a year, and I'd paint at like festivals and nightclubs and stuff, whatever. And I had a tour that was booked. I had Amsterdam, Berlin, Paris. And I was trying to get another place, which I'm not going to say, but yeah, so I had those all in lockdown, right? Lockdown. Sorry. But sorry, I had them all set, right? So anyway, I had them all set. And about 3 days right before I was supposed to leave, they shut down all the airports. And every single day before that, I was calling, this guy's name is Basti, a German dude. He's like my manager out there. So I was calling him up. I'm like, Basti, hey, are you sure it's okay for me to like go there? He's like, yeah, Johnny, don't worry. Everything is fine in Germany. Everything is cool. We have all the DJs coming in. It's yeah, easy, man. Yeah. And I'm like, all right, great. And so I would call and I would call every single day and stuff. And then like the day right before my flight, I've got everything all packed up and stuff, and then everybody's talking, it's all over line, that everything's being shut down. I'm watching TV and you're seeing all these dead people. And I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, Basti, are you sure it's okay? I'm gonna leave in 20 hours. Oh, Johnny, I'm so sorry. The show is canceled. And I'm like,
Uh,
oh man. He's like, okay, maybe in 3 months or so. I'm like, all right. Never went back.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
had a couple of similar situations. So I mentioned my uncle who was a photographer.
yeah.
There's a foundation around his artwork and his
Mm,
photography, and there was going to be a show in Vichy in France,
mm,
and I was invited specifically to go and also represent what I'm doing and bring that out there to France.
hmm
And I had started planning it. It was supposed to be in June of 2020,
Yeah. Oh yeah, there you go.
and that was a done deal. And then for a long time, one of the people who I mentioned that I have a collaboration with, who's an artist here, is a
hmm
ceramic artist, Akiko Guerin,
hmm
and she and I had done a whole series where we were mixing ceramics and illustration,
hmm
and we did a whole series on onomatopoeia
hmm
and like gyongo in Japanese, right? Like
hmm
sound words and how
hmm
that mixes together. And that show was really a lot of fun, and we were invited to go present that up in Sendai at a gallery, and then that got canceled. And then I was doing a project at the time for, when you go to Enoshima and
hmm
you take the little train from Kamakura Eki over to Enoshima Eki. Do you know what I'm talking? There's that little train, and it's only like,
I think so. That's one that goes by the big Daibutsu.
well, it goes close. You don't get to see the Daibutsu, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's where you go to get to go see the Daibutsu.
Okay, yeah. It's been
It's
years. It's been years. I usually don't leave Tokyo unless I'm going. Well, okay, I leave Tokyo. Never mind.
Uh,
Yeah. Okay.
anyway, I love that train. I love Kamakura. I love Enoshima. And I was brought in to do a project for them that was like
Mhm.
when Pokemon Go was kind of still a thing.
Yeah. Oh,
Well, it's still
yeah.
kind of a thing for some people. But they wanted to do something where around each stop you could learn a little bit about the area, play a little game, and have different types of experiences that teach you about the location,
Mm,
and also that gives businesses the opportunity to support and sponsor,
mhm.
and you could go find out where the best katsando is or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And so I was just getting started on that project, and then because of COVID, they were like, "We're not going to have. We got to close down. We're closing down this whole project."
Yeah.
So I would, and which is funny because it was another case of like, "Wow, this is a dream client. This is exactly something I would want to do." However, that one never came
Kind of
together
a
yet.
trend in your career,
I've
man.
had, well,
Oh,
no,
man.
it is. It is. I've been lucky. I've been very lucky.
You always land on your feet.
Yeah. Ups and downs, man. Life has ups and downs. So
That's true. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, COVID wasn't fun for anybody.
yeah.
Oh God, I almost got a job fucking at Uber Eats. Oh
Ooh.
God, yeah. I mean, dude, I'm freelance.
Yeah, I know. Me too,
Really,
man.
when everything goes away, you're like, okay, let's see. I got at least 3 months. I can push 6.
Yeah. How
Yeah,
skinny do I want to go?
I'll go all the way.
Yeah.
I put the pedal to the metal, man. But yeah, oh man. But so okay, now COVID's over.
Mhm.
What are you doing now?
So after COVID, I had to go back to take care of some things in the United States. And that was really informative. Actually, it informs what I'm doing now. Like I went to go help a parent that my mother had dementia, and I went to go take care of things. And I was really shocked because I hadn't been in the United States the whole time that I've been here until then.
Mhm.
So up to that point, it's like what, 11 years or something. I had not been back to the
Wow.
United States.
I get culture shock every time I go back, and that's every year. After 11 years, you go back, you're like, ah.
And I left Miami in 1997. So I'm back in Miami. I'm in my hometown, right? And I'm dealing with a parent that has like no memory. And
I'm sorry,
it
man.
was crazy. And the part that was crazy, like, is hard enough to deal with the parent, but
Yeah.
that like being in this society where, man, the bureaucracy is tough sometimes. We have to have patience to deal with all the paperwork, and the way that things operate here is very different in the United States. It was tax season last week, the last day. I had to get my
Monday.
yeah, Monday last week, right? And so I was in line, like getting my taxes, filed off to get my return taken care of. And
Mhm.
that gave me a flashback to like being back in the United States a couple years ago, because you know, being here for so long and doing that process, for example, of like all the people that I got to show it to and get the stamp and go, and like you know, it takes time. But in dealing with trying to get like a caseworker and insurance companies that don't want to do anything and like doctors that don't follow up on what they say they're going to do, and it just made me. I thought, and when I went back, I was prepared. Like I might have to be in the United States for a while. And I went back with that like in my heart, like, okay, I'm gonna be okay with this because I love being in Japan.
Yeah, you get used to it.
And unfortunately, like due to all the circumstances, just things did not go very well. And on top of it, man. Like on top, well, yeah, but to you know, we can't control everything, right? Yeah. There's only some things we can control. And it made me appreciate, you know, in spite of the grief and the things that go along with that and loss and whatnot. But what it made me appreciate, right? Like, because I got to keep living my life.
Yeah.
Is like, what it made me appreciate is that things here sometimes are difficult. There's a lot of tape to cut through. But if you know how to play the game a little bit, if you don't try to resist and push against it, because this is a collectivist society in a way that's different than in the United States, there's a kind of gentleness here. And there's a lot of sleazebags and there's a lot of dirty folks. And we were talking about that part too. And there's things to be aware of. I mean, you know, that's humanity, right? Yeah. That's humanity, right?
At its core.
Yeah. But it made me really appreciative of the things that I have here in this country. And I came back and I was just, I came back, and during COVID, I had no business, you know, like I was making 3 months last for like 10 months, right? 3 months of money last. Yeah. Crazy.
Yep.
So it was tough coming back to that. But what it made me really do was think about, as an artist, the part that we were talking about before. I came back and I've been in America for about a year. And everything was open when I got back because I left as soon as, you know, flights were allowed back to the United States. Because it was until like May of 2023, right?
Yeah.
And I got back here. So it was a little over a year. It was 15 months, technically. I got back here and it was like the end of 2024. And I was in shock in a good way when I got back here because it was like electric. Because Tokyo during COVID, man, people, it was frustrating. It was hard, but there wasn't the same political thing that was going on in the United States, where every kind of choice of like, are you masking? That's a political statement. Do you vax? That's a political statement. Like all of that was there's so much tribalism and there's so much like, you know, me, and how I feel about this. And then to come back here and like people during that time here, everybody was just kind of like, yeah, with some people, we know where there's a secret bar that's open, or you know what's going on a little bit. And,
yeah, the secret bars were great.
Was a thing. That was a thing, right?
Oh God, yeah. My God, yeah. I swear to God, man. Oh, dude, I went to some of the craziest parties. They were so underground during COVID.
Yeah, there was, yes, yeah. But to that point, so this is gonna bring it right back home.
Okay.
Which is like, so then I got back here and it's 2024. So the yen is weak as could be, and people are coming from out of the woodworks to just be here in Tokyo right now. It's that point in time.
Look at the window.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
There's like 30 Airbnbs in this street right here. It's crazy.
So it feels like the energy in this town post-COVID is off the charts. And it made me so glad to be back. And then the other thing was like, okay, well, like social life is back in order, right?
Oh yeah.
And then as an artist, like, you know, there's this definition of spirituality that comes from Jung, right? Well, like what's at the core of it is like we as humans need, this is not the hocus pocus mystical, you know, new agey stuff. We need connection and we need a sense of wonder. So, you know, like I realized until I studied that, like as a way of getting over my own grief was like, sense of wonder. Well, shit, man, that's in my art. That's like, let's go take a walk around and look at the fucking cherry blossoms each day and watch how that transition occurs, right? Like the world is bigger than you and it's bigger than me. And when we take time to take that in, we feel like this, like, wow, look how beautiful this is.
Absolutely.
And then the other side is connection. We need connection and we need wonder, right? So I was like, all right, it's time to restart the connection thing. And so I've worked a lot with a lot of projects that I've worked on, and things that I've worked on have been in the community building and in social responsibility space, and games that have been involved in that. And I just decided, like, I went to Kyoto. There's a big game event there called Bit Summit, and it was nice to see the community there. And COVID really shuffled things around in Tokyo, so I wanted to bring that community thing back here.
Mm-hmm.
So with a couple of people who I just met since coming back, and we went to Kyoto together, I said, let's I want to build a new organization here in Tokyo that really looks at like games and creativity and the business side of it
Mm-hmm.
and the connections that that leads to other people and how people interact with games and create an organization around that, like an institution around that. And so I started Tokyo Game Bridge in November.
There we go.
I
Now
started
we're up
Tokyo
to
Game Bridge in
speed.
November. Yeah. So yeah, like it's a lot of things, on the pathway to starting that. And right now I'm filing the MPO paperwork to get the government behind, so that I can open up the right kind of bank accounts so that I can get sponsorship and fund these projects that we're doing. And yeah, I've been building an organization around game development, game developers, game culture, game history, game creativity, the business of games, helping educate people who are interested in getting involved, people who are interested in game design. Game design is art, how that relates to art. That's a big part because my background is in the arts.
Yep.
So yeah, and that's how I met you.
Yep, absolutely. And we met a few weeks ago at a very, very amazing. It was a meetup, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It was a
yeah.
meetup by that Scott Popular
Scott
organized.
Popular,
Yeah,
Ninjas in Tokyo.
Ninjas in Tokyo, right? And yeah, that was right down the street at Heaven, and it was like this amazing meetup where like all these like really incredible, like brilliant, like video game creators and programmers and designers all got together. And yeah, I met a lot of great people. And when I met you, I was like, I gotta get this guy on the show.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, tell me more about Bridge. So you are you gonna eventually open a school or something? I mean, it seems like the sky's the limit for what you're planning on doing.
Yeah. So my idea is to take it the idea that we have, it's not just me, but kind of I've been spearheading this thing.
Yeah.
And Scott, actually I have to give a shout out to Scott because
Scott's
Scott has
awesome.
been,
Love
yeah,
Scott.
Scott's one of the board members in the organization at this point in time. And Scott is a great organizer and a great with people and a lot of fun to be around. So
Super cool. Super
he and
cool.
I like we really gel on bringing some of that out in public, right? But the idea is to go brick and mortar with it. And we
Nice.
want to have a space that has kind of gallery space, meeting space, classroom space, and a game space, right? And that will be a place to look at games, to experience games, to create games, to talk about how they get to market, to have a place where like all these inbound, travelers can come and take a look and see like the process and take a look at, do things like get the history of Hanafuda cards. You know about Hanafuda cards?
I know.
Yeah. So like
They don't.
okay, so Hanafuda is a game it's a card game that's been around that it's a game that's used for gambling in the old days, and Yakuza used to play it and families play it and all good, but it's a very traditional card game in Japan. Nintendo got started, or at least they have a long history in making
Yeah, that's
Hanafuda
right.
cards.
Nintendo got started in that business.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah, that's
Back
right.
in like the 1890s
Yeah,
or something. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, like so taking things like, because there's games right there, right? And there's that part that relates to Japan, although technically Nintendo's in Kyoto, but the history of that, like what that is, and there's different components. There is the connection of people playing games together. There's the creativity of what is a game and how is it fun and why is it fun and what makes it fun, right? And then there's the visual elements and components that go into that. There's the narrative components that go into that. There's the technical part that goes into that. And like we could take and look and analyze and present that and curate that and like make it fun for people to understand. And that's where there's room to take like games and put them in gallery space. And that's the overlap that like I was talking about, or that to me I feel kind of a passion about in how to present it to the global audience, right? And then in the meantime, there's the more central focus, which is our core membership, which is around game developers and people in the business side of games, and how we, there's also inside our little world, like sometimes there's a huge division between people on the publishing side and people on the development side. And we don't always understand what the other one wants. And so part of that's why Tokyo Game Bridge, right? Bridging these different components to be able to have a space where we can analyze and look at and talk to and connect and think about and put things together. And that's what it's about. That's the core.
That is fantastic. I love that you guys are going to do a brick and mortar, an actual building. Do you have any locations in mind? Like any areas like Koenji or North Side?
Oh man.
Saitama's cheap right now.
Saitama's cheap, but we're called Tokyo Game Bridge, so that rules Saitama.
Oh, but what about Tokyo Disneyland, which is in Chiba
Yeah, and
and
you know, Tokyo
Narita?
Game Show takes place down in Makuhari Messe, which
Yeah.
is way down in Chiba. But
Oh,
no, I think what will determine that is, so as I was saying, right now we're putting together the filing the paperwork for MPO status, and
cool.
there's a couple of different levels of types of MPOs and how they operate. And so some of the location stuff will some of the decisions around that
Mhm.
first, the paperwork around our MPO status needs to be cleared and taken care of,
Mhm.
and then we need to have some guidance to
Mhm.
deal with local government in regard to finding places, because there are opportunities within within the city itself,
Yeah.
where they need, you know, there's a lot of empty space in the city, right? It's the biggest city in the world, and there's lots of derelict buildings.
Dude, there's an apartment building. There's actually three apartment buildings over there that could probably fit 1,500 people, and it's been empty since I've been in this neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like falling apart.
there are amazing locations like all around the center part of the city, you know,
Yeah.
and like Tokyo, like it's not necessarily cheap, but come on, man, it's not that expensive. Coming from New York and coming from Miami, Tokyo's way more affordable. Um,
It's
so
an open secret.
yeah, it's a totally open secret. And it's one of the things that I think, actually going back to what we were talking about before, I
Mm.
think that part is part of the reason why there's so many creatives here right now, is
Yeah.
because you can't be in New York. It's
Mhm.
too expensive to live in New York.
Yeah.
And like the quality of life that you have is like you gotta play tug of war for the pizza crust from the rat that's trying to steal it from your hand.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, don't get me wrong, again, there's scummy people everywhere. You got to be mindful of
Oh
wherever you
God,
are.
yeah. 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 Yeah.
But you know, for what you get for the civility, for the cost of living, for the stresses in life. I mean, if I just feel like there's a lot of opportunity here in Tokyo to
Mhm.
really explore and to like drill
Mhm.
down on stuff. But for Tokyo Game Bridge, because of the history of games in the city,
Mhm.
because of game development in the
Mhm.
city, because of a love of games that comes right here from this place,
Mhm.
because of my own passion for it, because I want to help people. I want to help people, you
Mhm.
know, like whether you're on the creative side or on the business side or on, you know, the programming side or
Mhm.
whatever that is. Like, let's bring people together. Like I have a profound desire to do that at this stage of my life. So yeah.
Fantastic. Oh, that's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. Gosh, yeah. Oh, I've got questions.
Oh yeah, shoot.
Let's see. Answered, answered, answered,
Oh wow.
answered, answered. Yeah, pretty much. You answered everything. Thank you. And that's a show. No, no, man. I think that's absolutely spectacular what you're doing. I love the name. At first, I didn't understand the name. It was like Tokyo Bridge. I was like, Bridge. Okay, that's kind of cool. But yeah, now I completely understand it, and I think that's a brilliant name. It's absolutely
Thank
fantastic.
you. It was kind of
Yeah.
like we are trying to think of something. I remember it just kind of came to me like, and you write something down as placeholder, and then you
Mhm.
like look back, you're like, oh wait a second, that's not a placeholder. That's the name, you know?
Yes, yes, yes.
So yeah, and we've been hosting events. So that event with Scott's event the other week.
Well, let's talk
Um,
about that event.
yeah, sure. Over at Haven. Is it Heaven or Haven? How does it?
It's heaven.
HVEN.
HVEN.
Yeah.
I think it might even be an acronym.
Yeah, it might stand for something.
Yeah, like,
I'm not quite sure what,
oh, who
but
knows?
it's a cool spot though.
Hmm.
And so what that night was bringing out the host was Game Maker, which is a game engine like for building, and it's one that's for people who are new to game development.
Hmm.
So the technical barriers for it are not that difficult to hurt, you know, those hurdles aren't so difficult to get over.
Yeah.
And they somehow teamed up with Scott, or Scott teamed up with them to start presenting. They wanted to grow their market share here in Tokyo. And so they wanted to start having events. And so
Hmm.
what that event is having people who make games come out and present for 15 minutes.
Hmm.
I'm making this game. Take a look at it. Let me explain it to you guys.
Hmm.
And this is fun. This is what I do.
Hmm.
Have at it and ask questions and make it a dialogue. And then in another room afterwards, everyone can test out and play the games.
Hmm.
And that night, I brought the game that I did in 2024. I was
SmackDown or something?
oh, Bop the Bigot,
Bop
yeah,
the Biggie, that's it.
Bop the Bigot. So yeah, last summer it's I was contracted to do the second version of a game that I'd done in 2016, Bop the Bigot. I was brought in by an immigrants' rights organization in the United States, and they wanted to help get people who were legally eligible registered to vote. and Bop the Bigot, I think probably tells you a little bit about who the bigot might be.
Don't look at me.
I'm not looking. Hey, no, dude, bro, no.
That's our final show.
Yeah. So, and funny enough,
game over.
Well, I'd done work. I think they know I'd done work for the Miami Center for Racial Justice as well. So I have kind of a history around social rights.
The bigot had interesting hair. Let's just say that,
yes,
right?
Yes. Oh, very orange.
There we go.
Yes. And some of the people around him, the guy who was the head of the Heritage Foundation, the 2025 thing, who's another big bigot. And so I presented that game and talked a little bit about that with everybody, and it was fun. I really appreciated that, because that game did have some traction, and I kind of had to put it away after the election because, the outcome of the election might not have been exactly what we all wanted, or some of us wanted, or at least 50% of the United States or something like that. Yeah, it was nice to I hadn't revisited myself until that night, but Scott asked me, hey, you got a game. I saw that game, come out and show it off and talk about it. And I did. And it was a really good opportunity because regardless of the contents of the situation, the history of that, it does go back to the kind of social component and community building. And that was great. Yeah, that was a fun night.
That was a really fun night. Yeah, that was a really fun dynamic night on so many different levels. I mean, the people that were presenting the games were from all over the place. There's a group from Finland.
Yeah.
That were there. And I didn't live, but I had an extended stay in Finland when I was in high school. So I was able to talk to them just in a little bit of my broken Finnish, which is kind of cool, and talk about probably basic stuff for them. But for me, it was fascinating, the candies that they have there and the drinks. But yeah, that was a great experience. It was absolutely fantastic, and it was right down the street, so I could stumble home. I was like, that was fun.
Yeah. You are in stumbleable proximity to that location.
Oh yeah.
One thing that really is important to me as well in all of this, right, is and it's kind of hitting on what you just said. I think there are so many great people. There's the people who want to get into games because you play games and games are fun and interesting, but and they capture the imagination. But the people who actually really get into making games and game design is such a fascinating area. It requires so many different types of skills, and not just the programming and not just the art. But how to make something engaging, right? How to make something fun, how to make something exciting, how to make, all of these things. There's a lot of psychology, and there's probability, and there's numbers, and there's all these different parts that you kind of have to creatively intertwine into something that is cohesive and that somebody's going to get. You get that moment where you're like, aha, I know how to play this game now. And not only that, then it's like, oh, wait a second, now I have a strategy for how to play this game, right? And so I really love, as a creative, as an artist myself, game designers, because I think game design really requires such an interesting and unique basket of skills.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, they also have to be storytellers.
Yep. There's that part too. Yeah. The narrative components of a game.
From all games, I mean, if you think about it, Mario, princess has been kidnapped. You got to, go through all these challenges and fight Koopa and get her back and stuff. Story,
Sure. Well, even checkers and chess, right? Checkers king me, right? There's a whole hierarchy of power that's going on this board. And during that time, we create our own narratives.
Yeah.
And that's built right into this, it's a fucking grid with a bunch of little red and black pieces. And that ability, I think there's something that goes along with art in a way that when people say, oh, what's this painting mean? Well, it means what we've imbibed it with. But at the same time, it also means what the audience brings to it, right?
Yeah.
And so doing that is really important. How do we do that? And giving people the opportunity, not just oh, I think this game should be about fly fishing, right? Let the person who's playing it also have their own story. Oh, I like this fly, and the reason I like it is that, and I don't even fly fish, but whatever that thing is, I know nothing about fly fishing, a night crawler or whatever you wiggly thing you put on the hook. But that thing of giving, you don't tell people how to interpret your art.
I do sometimes. When they ask me about the concept, they're like, what's the concept of this? I'm like, well, I sold one, so the concept's broken, but what do you think it is? I answer a question with a question.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there you go. That's the point, right? I mean, sometimes we do kind of look under how the sausage is made, or look under the hood and try to figure that shit out. And
I don't want to know how the sausage is made.
Yeah, well, some of the sausage around here is a little bit greasy, so Yeah, no, you know, people want to know, people want to get an idea, but then that also leads them to interpret things themselves, you
Hmm.
know? And I think that's an important thing. I think like we also live in a society right now where like we're our attention is being, you know, commoditized in a way that like uh things don't give us our attention back.
Microphone.
Oh, yeah, people, I'm sorry. I'm thinking about it as I'm looking at this art.
I'll explain it if you want.
Well, I'm putting my own, I'm attaching my own meanings to this.
I would love to hear it.
But well, we could get into that. Well, but anyway, yeah, like so yeah, that's a part that's really important to me, and I really like that
Mhm.
event specifically because I think that it celebrates that type of creativity and brings people together to kind of talk about it. Yeah, yeah, and that's what that, you know, we have an event. I have an event on the 27th, so in a couple nights, uh, March 27th in Azabu Juban at Legacy Lounge. We're
Oh,
doing,
Legacy
you
Lounge,
know, Legacy.
Dave's place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dave's place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dave sponsors the show.
Oh, well, yeah. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I've
there
known
you go.
Dave for God, so many years. Yeah.
So we're going to
Great
have
place.
an
Great place.
event and like our name Bridge, Tokyo Game Bridge, right? The
Hmm.
bridge component of this is that I've contacted some of the organizers of some of the other game development groups around town and said, hey, let's get everybody together,
Hmm.
whether you're doing VR or whether you're, you know, indie developers or whether you're game jam. And come with, you know, an organizer and bring something you might want to show and talk about like your corner and what you want to see happen in the game industry and how we can like kind of be collaborative with each other. We're not competitive. This is, we all benefit from each other benefiting, right?
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
so that's the next event is called Community Link Up. And then I'm cooking up April's event right now, which is going to be fun. It's going to be a paper prototype game jam where you bring your own booze, and there's a 2 hour stretch where people have to team up and make their own ideas for a game, and then even present and pitch it. And each team will also have investment bucks, bridge bucks to pay out, and we'll see who wins the most bucks for their concept. Each team, you know, and
Uh-huh.
then they'll get
Uh-huh.
the bridgie as the trophy for getting their game as the one that's the winner for the night.
Matthew, that sounds pretty epic.
So yeah, there's, you know, try to bring some creative energy into things.
I think you're doing a great job, and I'm really, really proud of you, man. I think
Thank
that's
you.
awesome. I think you're doing God's work. I think this is amazing. How can somebody like
Good
find,
question.
yeah, how can somebody find Bridge and how can they get involved?
Okay, to find Tokyo Game Bridge, we are online at tokyogamebridge.org and get involved. It's really simple. Our site is a fresh site. And the big button, our call to action right there is to our Discord. And so hop on over to the Discord server. We've got people over there engaged in conversation. You know, every day we try to have some kind of engagement questions around games that we love, around ideas that get us going, just to have a community space where people can talk and to broadcast what they're doing.
Hmm.
So the Discord server community, yeah, that's it, man. Come to the Discord server, go through tokyogamebridge.org. We're on Blue Sky, we're on what, Instagram. Yeah, that's where those are I got to put a LinkedIn together page too. Just because I want the businesses to be a little bit more on board with what we're doing.
Great for sponsorship.
Yeah, exactly.
Great for sponsorship.
Exactly.
Wow, that is fantastic. Well, that's about it. That's all my questions. That's everything. My
Cool.
God, that's fantastic. I'm really, really excited about what you're doing. And yeah, and Legacy Lounge, like I said, is a spectacular place. The food there, the drinks there. I mean, it's a soul food house. It's absolutely
Yeah.
spectacular. I love the macaroni and cheese, and they got amazing gin there. I love gin. So yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic.
You know, I went to school in Memphis, Tennessee,
Yeah.
and Dave's from Mississippi.
Hmm.
And so, and you know, Scott's from Atlanta, right?
Hmm.
So there's like a little bit of a Southern boy thing going on where like we all
Hmm.
kind of appreciate, we all have a little of that in us. And so it's really nice to be able to also have that connection. And that's where the macaroni and cheese that he replicates collard greens with what we have available here in Japan.
Hmm.
So that's
And
pretty
they do
cool.
a great job. That's
Yeah.
great food. Oh my goodness, I love that place. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And yeah, geez, I don't know where to go from there. Oh, wow, that's everything. Yeah, out of all these questions, yeah, I didn't even have to ask one.
Well,
Great.
yeah.
Usually it's quite the opposite. I get somebody on the show, not always, but every so often, and I have to ask a question, then follow-up question, then a follow-up question on top of the follow-up question. And yeah, this time I was just like, I'm sitting here, I'm like, yes, sensei. You know, I mean, yeah, I'm blown away. I'm speechless. I'm so happy for all the great stuff that you're doing. And Vaders, I'm sure you're in the same boat as me. I'm sure everybody's like looking forward to like all the magic that you guys are going to be doing, that you're doing now, that you're going to be doing in the
Thank you.
future. The brick and mortar thing, that's awesome because I mean everything's online, but to have something tangible, like a place where you can actually go to, and I mean, I just check out games, see how it's done, maybe take a class on how to like learn how
Absolutely.
to do like some programming or something like that. Or I think
Absolutely.
that'd be absolutely spectacular. And maybe a gallery in there that maybe has like video game art or something. Because there's
Absolutely.
quite a few people that only specialize in like doing like video game art, like that's Mario and Zelda and so on, old
Sure.
school stuff from Capricorn, Akari Warriors and whatnot. So I think that's incredibly dope. I think that's fantastic. I hope it's in Nakameguro.
Yeah, I
I
wouldn't
hope
mind.
it's right next to coasters. Oh
I
my
wouldn't
gosh.
mind. I wouldn't mind being this is a great neighborhood. Yeah,
Yeah.
like there's I have a couple of spots like you said. Like do you have anywhere in mind? I mean, Akihabara is kind of an obvious possibility.
Hmm.
Chiyodaku is kind of a good area. There's a lot of resources around there.
Hmm.
But man, there's so many choices. I want to be relatively close to like transportation, like central. That's it. And we'll see what happens. You
Yeah.
know, like it's one of those things as this has gone on, you know,
Hmm.
sometimes you come up with an idea, right?
Yeah.
And you don't know if it's going to have legs, right? And
Welcome to my life.
people start asking you questions.
Uh-huh.
And when they ask you questions, like either you start to realize like I don't think this is going anywhere, or you realize I can make a little bit if I adjust a little bit to the left on
Hmm.
this. If I
Hmm.
think and take this in consideration,
Hmm.
I'll take the next step forward. And through the process of doing this, that's happened continuously.
Hmm.
And so it's only been a few months, and to be even at the state that I can start talking about, like, yeah, our next step is getting the MPO paperwork filed, starting to
Hmm.
meet with more people in local government.
Hmm.
I have some, you know, associates that are helping me on that front.
Hmm.
Yeah, like I don't know how long it's going to take, but I can see where it's going. You
Yeah,
know,
absolutely. I recommend a good lawyer.
yeah, a lawyer's necessary.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a lawyer, an accountant.
Yeah, you definitely need an accountant. Yeah,
Yep.
you go into the tax office and like doing your own taxes and getting that stamp. No, 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 no.
Yeah,
Get a good accountant
an
now.
accountant.
Yeah, and the best way to get a good lawyer and a good accountant is to find somebody that has one,
Yes,
that's had one for a long time, then use that guy.
this sounds like a personal experience story right here.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, in Japan you need all right, if you're gonna do your own thing, you need a great accountant, a great
Mhm.
lawyer, and an even better dentist. Okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah, there's a lot of dentists here, and some are pretty decent, but if you find a good dentist, man, pay that guy double, give him a tip. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, for sure.
I had a dentist, the one that I have before the one that I have now. He tried to pull on my teeth. He's like, listen, I'm gonna pull on your molars. I'm like, what? They're already gone. He's like, no, 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 they're coming in. I'm like, that doesn't even make any sense. You
Bro.
know, yeah, he was still gonna pull out my teeth. I don't know what was gonna go on and stuff, but I don't know. You just thought I was an idiot or something. Yeah. But if you want to know who that dentist is, I'll tell you. Send me an email because I want to ruin that guy's
Yo,
reputation.
you have to tell me after this. I do not want to ever have an
Oh, I'll
encounter with this
definitely
person.
tell you. I'll definitely tell you. Like they speak English there, so a lot of foreigners go there.
Right, right.
Dude, my friend, I'm not gonna say his name. My friend Reggie, he went in there and stuff, and he got a root canal. I'm like, a root canal? You got a root canal? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my God. Like, oh, yeah, 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 yeah. I'll tell you stories and stories. See, that's the thing,
Ooh.
Faders. When you come here, if you live here and stuff like that, if you meet some guys that have been here for like a long time, they're going to tell you story after story after story after story of all the crazy stuff that they went through. And you should listen to those stories so you
Yo,
don't do the same mistakes.
yeah, shit happens. You got to be wise and mindful.
Hmm.
You know, we were talking about this a little bit earlier.
Hmm.
Like the idea that even though this is a really great country and a great city,
Hmm.
there are always scam artists everywhere, and you gotta attune. Like in a country where, like, so for example, largely, like if I put a bag of like my bag like in a club in New York and in my iPad would be in it, and like I come back and my iPad's gonna be gone, right? And like
Hmm.
in Tokyo, that it doesn't happen, you know,
Not
and
too
not
often.
too often. No, I can't say never, but the likelihood is pretty slim.
Hmm.
Um, you know, I've had my wallet returned to me. I've had other things returned to me that I'd never expected to get back.
Hmm.
Those things do happen here, and that would not happen in a lot of other places.
Hmm.
But You also like it's easy. That makes it easy to become kind of lax, especially like, well, I grew up in Miami. Miami's a shifty, shady town, even though
Hmm.
everybody,
Hmm.
and New York, in the old days, New York was grimy as could be.
Hmm.
Um, so, it's easy to come here and become lackadaisical about being aware of what's going on in the environment around you,
Yeah, your
but
shield goes down.
yeah, your shield goes down. But it's important to remember that even though people are kind or gentle in a way that's different than out west, you still gotta, hone in on the shady folks.
So you need a good dentist, a good
Good dentist for
lawyer, and a
sure.
great accountant, and you'll be fine.
Those things help. Those things definitely help.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're mandatory.
Yeah.
They're mandatory.
Well, if you're
Yeah.
doing any
Okay.
kind of business for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So usually when I interview somebody at the
Mm,
end of the interview,
mm,
at the end of the show and stuff, I ask if you have any questions for me or ask me a couple of questions or something. So
mm.
now's your opportunity to ask me a couple of questions. Although I didn't ask you any questions whatsoever. Well, I did a few, but yeah. So if you have any questions or anything like that,
Sure,
hit
sure.
me up
Okay, so
about anything.
well, I want to ask you about like the art side. Like
Sure.
let's bring the art side into this conversation and like what you're doing and like community building in the arts.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go? Like what's your goals with community building? And that like you just saw how we're just talking about how technology and games
Yep.
comes into that.
Hmm.
How do you think that that could benefit you and what you're doing and your audience and the people that are involved in your community?
I'm already doing that. Um,
Bring it, bring it, bring it.
So, as most of you guys know, and if you've seen the commercial, if you watch this, not the live version, I've organized Tokyo Art. I'm the organizer of Tokyo Art Tank, and in 2 weeks we're going to have our 13th art exhibition. And yeah, and every time I have organize a Tokyo Art Tank, I do it a little bit differently. I learned from like the previous one to make the next one bigger and better and more exciting. And yeah, so and that's one of the reasons, or how I met you, is because I went
Sure.
to Scott Popular's his event, which is a video game event that we discussed, and I was interested in video games, and I booked Scott to showcase some of his video games at the next Tokyo Art Tank to make Tokyo Art Tank just a little bit more exciting and more hands-on. So we're gonna have video game artwork there, and we're gonna have video games where that Scott like created, where
Shout
people
out to
can.
Ninja Man. I know that is the game like
Yeah,
Scott
that's the
Davis
one.
Ninja Man.
Yeah, oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Ninja Man's awesome. So, and we're really excited to have that. And so basically, I've got that there, and I'm going to be doing more things regarding video games and toys actually. So every time I have Tokyo Art Tank, it's a little bit more different, it's a little bit more special, and it's a little bit more unique. And it's just growing and growing and growing. And yeah, and it's almost too big at this point. Yeah, it's just I'm not too big, but it's just like it's bigger than the location, which is kind of
Yeah, you're growing. You like like a snake, like with its skin, you're gonna have to
the skin.
shed
Yeah,
it and go on and
yeah. So
molt.
yeah, I know. So basically, I'm thinking either I'm gonna have two Tokyo Art Tanks where I have one at Gallery Conceal and then another one at a warehouse, like a mega Tokyo Art Tank
Mhm.
where I could have maybe 50 artists and then flying maybe because like before I flew in a couple of artists and stuff. I flew in a guy from Paris, Jesse. A guy from New Jersey, John Gabbia. I had Danny Love from Brooklyn, New York. And yeah, I've done that quite a few times and stuff. But I'm thinking if I have like a warehouse where I could have like maybe 50 artists, then I can bring in two artists. But then there's like the opposite side of that because then it's something that you're probably going to face. Like once you get really, really, really big, you lose like the community, right?
Mhm.
For example, like right now we have 30 artists, we have like 5 rooms. And so anybody and everybody that comes in, they can enjoy the art, they can meet the artists, they can make friends, they can build connections. The artists themselves can communicate and make connections and stuff, which they have. I mean, a lot of artists that showcase their artwork at
That's
Tokyo Art
part of
Tank,
it, yeah.
yeah, it's just like a community that's getting bigger and growing and getting stronger and stuff. It's all inclusive. And the thing is, though, I think if I do get too big and I do have the warehouse, I'm going to lose that community, and then it's just going to be another art festival that's really large.
Right,
That's
right.
something that I'm kind of debating. And if I do something that's bigger, how can I keep that community aspect a part of it? Because for me that's very important. I
Yeah.
mean, dude, I've gone to the hospital 3 times because of Tokyo Art Tank, right? And it's all due to stress. I've
Oh,
had colitis.
yeah.
I've had the worst colitis. My intestines started bleeding out. And I lost like 50 pounds. Yeah. So, and you guys know, but yeah. So the thing is, it's just like I got to figure out how to do it if it does get bigger, or I could make it smaller, maybe that's the thing. I make it smaller and then I have this one or something. I don't know, like Tokyo Art Tank Light. It's something I got to think about. But yeah, it's definitely changing, but it's definitely growing in one way or another, just because there's just so many incredible people here in Tokyo or who are coming to Tokyo that are just bringing their A game. And then
Yeah.
it's just incredible. And another thing about Tokyo Art Tank, it's not only the incredible artwork that I'm trying to accumulate and get all this artwork together and stuff. It's the people, the artists themselves. Like every single artist that showcases their artwork, I don't interview them per se. It's just I call them up. I talk to them on the phone or I meet them, right? Like I mean, how I met Scott. I met him at Design Festa. He was having a
Hmm.
show with his crew, right? I went in there and I was, dude, it's funny. My wife, I had a party or some kind of event. And then the next day, my wife had the day off and I didn't have anything to do. And she wanted to go shopping. She's like, I'm going to go shopping and stuff. We're going to go shopping today. And I'm so hungover. I'm shaking and stuff. We went to Shinjuku, Shibuya, Harajuku. Harajuku was our last stop. And it's just one of those days where you're just holding bags, being like, oh God, I just can't wait for this to be over. And I was like, we're in Harajuku and we're right by Design Fest. And I was like, let's go in there. We went in there. And then there was Scott and his crew, and they're all like drinking. And I'm like, hey, what's up, guys? I'm looking at their artwork and stuff. And I start talking to them. They're like, hey, you want a drink? I'm like, yeah, sure. And so Scott pulls this glass out, and he's got this whiskey, and he just fills me up like with a quarter like cup. And I'm just like, yo, thank you, but that's too much. But I'm gonna take it. And I hit that, and then they gave me a beer, and I was like, wow, okay, I'm gonna book you guys. And dude, my hangover was gone. I was able to go shopping for another like I don't know how long, but for a while and stuff. But yeah, so yeah, it's just like meeting great people and bringing them in and stuff. So anybody can be a part of Tokyo Art Tank too, because the thing is, it's just like you got to have great artwork,
Mm.
but you also got to have a good personality.
Yeah.
You got to be like a generally cool person. And trust me, I've filtered quite a few non-cool people. you know,
Yeah, it's that calibration thing, right? You can feel it, right? Like you and I started talking. I'd never met you before.
Mhm.
Well, I think I saw you. Actually, I saw you at an event one time, and I don't think we had the opportunity to interact because I remember seeing you. But it was like people around, and I'm a pretty kind of social butterfly, so I'm
I,
type of
I go
guy.
on a lot, so yeah, it's definitely probably true.
Yeah, and
Unless I
then
got a doppelganger,
you
it's
might. I mean, it's
possible.
possible.
Maybe wears his hat like this side or something.
Right, like some kind of it has a scar here instead of here or some.
Ugh,
Yeah. Anyway,
scars.
but yeah, it's I think similar to like now, like you prepare questions, but you didn't have to look at that sheet. Like when you
Mhm.
start wanting to engage with people,
Mhm.
like that thing happens kind of naturally,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
like that's beautiful, man. It's a really nice thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's really cool, and it's really awesome about Tokyo Art Tank because like yeah, like I said, the artists do mingle and they do like become like friends and they start like other organizations and
Yeah.
stuff. And it was about like 3 4 weeks ago. This guy Stefan organized an event at the Den, which is a great bar in Koenji, and it was like a tattoo art exhibition
Mm,
expo kind of
mm.
thing. And I went there, and there's like three of my friends that were artists from previous Tokyo Art Tanks, and they all met, and I was just like, dude, you guys are doing
Is
this.
that
This
the
is
best?
awesome.
Is
Yeah.
that the best? Like when you like people, I love that. I love that. I love like when something that we've done
Mm-hmm.
introduces other people and we don't even have to be there and
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
like pollination, right? Like
Yeah.
you're just sending it out, sending the energy out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like Johnny Appleseed of art.
absolutely,
But
bro.
yeah,
That's
so
beautiful.
yeah, so that's it. That's Tokyo Art Tank. The next one is in 2 weeks, and it is going to be absolutely incredible. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm so nervous. I just hope that I don't go to the hospital again.
Dude,
Oh my
start.
God.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This is why we're drinking coffee and not drinking booze right now, so that
Oh God, yeah. I'm trying to tone down the booze because the thing is, I go out and stuff, and everybody's like Johnny, and then there's
right,
like 2 drinks in my face. I'm like,
right.
I can't say no.
No.
Who can say no? Especially when it's shots. I'm like, ah, shots.
Uh,
Ah, oh God, that's what killed me 3 days ago. Oh my gosh. But yeah, it's absolutely fantastic.
when
So
things die down, we got to go drink some Nihonshu, bro.
yeah, let's do it now.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's late enough to have some Nihonshu.
It is now. All right. Faders, thank you. Are we good? Is there anything else you want to plug?
Um,
Anything else?
I mean, for the Tokyo folks, if
Mm.
on the side, like I have a little business, and that business is Tokyo Tailored Tours. I give tours for inbound people. I love showing arts. I love showing the history of Tokyo. I'm especially passionate about my little corner of Tokyo. We're in Nakameguro now. I live over in the Taitoku, Ueno, Asakusa area.
Great area.
Shitamachi, like downtown, like, the old school creative side of Tokyo. I love taking people around there. If there's anybody that's interested, that's coming to Tokyo and you want a personalized tour, I talk to my clients when I take them out, and I tailor something specifically to their interests and have a good time with them and help them see what they want and cut through like language problems. I translate, I help them get where they're going. I give them contextual understanding because I've been here for so long, can explain things and help them engage with what they want to experience. So that's a side part. That's TokyoTailoredTours.com. I'm there. If you're interested, that's another thing.
Go in the link.
That's the link. But Tokyo Gamebridge is where it's at. And yeah. And if you need an art director or a consultant on a project, hey, I'm here, Tokyo Gamebridge. Hit me up.
Yes. Nice. Awesome, faders. You know what to do. Hit that up. And I want to say thank you, everybody, for coming here. And thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, you're definitely going to be on the show again with Nihonshu.
Yeah, let's do it.
By the
little
way,
Nabeshima.
what is your favorite Nihonshu? I'm a Desai guy. I know it's the go-to. I like the fruitiness of it. Desai, was it 23?
Yeah, let's see. So I just said Nabeshima is one that I like a lot. If I'm on the way home and dinner's already made and I want to have something to drink at the grocery store, I'll grab a bottle of Suige. Is kind of my go-to, can't miss.
Yo, wait, stop right now. I got a great idea. Dude, how about we do a Nihonshu review episode?
We should totally do it.
Yeah, because I did the same thing with a shochu. Yeah, so I love shochu, dude. Yeah, it's dude, shochu. Oh God, it's so good. I went to Kagoshima. I just fell in love. Fell in love. I was like, because I've had shochu before, but it's like how I told you about like cigars and like with whiskey. I was only drinking cheap shochu. Right. I was like, oh yeah, it's good stuff, I guess.
Mouthwash, yeah.
Yeah, but then when you get like the real deal, you're just like, oh,
this is
now I get it. It's supposed to taste like this. Yeah. And so yeah, I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then I started exploring shochu, and now I'm just so into shochu, man. Oh my gosh. So
wait, are you like a Mugi, a Imo, Sato? What's your shochu? What's your Kome?
Oh, Kome, yeah. But no, I love Imo shochu.
Imo shochu.
Imo shochu. Yeah. I like, okay, Mugi's great for mixing. So if I'm going to mix, like if I'm going to have an udon hai or something or whatever, I would have like a Mugi. But generally, I just like Imo. And Imo, as you may know, is like sweet potatoes.
Yeah, potato.
Yeah. From Kyushu.
Mugi is wheat.
Yep.
For Kome is rice for those that are not in the parlance of Japanese language. Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff though. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I haven't had any alcohol in like 3-4 days, I think.
So wait, well, you were saying it's Nihonshu time, right?
Yeah, it is, right? Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's just like for me, okay, I try not to drink as much or anything right before Tokyo Art Tank. Like before when I first started doing, not before when I first started, but after like volume 6 or 7, when it started getting really full on, I wouldn't drink alcohol for at least a couple of weeks before, just because like every single day there's like so much. I mean, I've got like 6 film directors, and then I've got bar staff, I've got security, I've got 30 artists, I've got I've got 6 DJs, I have 4 bands, I've got 7 DJs. I've got all these people that are contacting me, asking me questions, all times of night, mind you.
Yeah.
2 o'clock in the morning, DJs are awake, right? And so, I mean, usually from 5 o'clock until like 10 o'clock, 7, around there and stuff. That's my quiet time. But I'll get emails probably even right now. I've had a couple of emails. Yeah, there we go. There's an email right there about promotion. Yeah. Sponsorship. Oh gosh. Yeah. So there's so much going on. So if I'm like wasted at like 9 p.m., and I'm getting like emails, I'm going to either forget or send the wrong message, or if I wake up the next day and I'm hungover and stuff, it's hard to focus. So the closer we get to Tokyo Art Tank, the less I drink. So
you got to you have to prioritize your cognitive abilities around coordination during those types of events. Sometimes it's a challenge because people want to be social and they hand you a drink. But
well, that's fine.
Yeah. I'm not knocking it.
But yeah. So for Bridge, you're just basically the head guy of it. You're like kind of you're spearheading it and stuff. How many people is working on it, if you don't mind me
Well,
asking?
there's other people. I mean, I do have some other people that are definitely core members and have been critical, and I couldn't have, like they're part of this as well.
Mm.
So um,
So you've got a team.
I have it for sure. I have a
Cool,
team.
cool, cool.
Scott is one of those people.
Love you, Scott. That guy's fucking so cool.
Yeah, we have there's a bunch of people. I have some people that are on the
Mm,
business side. I have people that are on
mm.
the journalist side.
Cool.
I have people on the PR side.
Hmm.
So my core members right now, I have about 6 guys.
Hmm.
Well, and we need some girls in there, and we need some other people.
Hmm.
Like this, we're inclusive.
Six
But
friends.
yes, yes,
Yeah, all
um,
inclusive. Six friends. Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
And everyone's kind of chipping in and
Cool.
doing what they can, and I'm just very grateful.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I need to hire some staff. I'm doing everything by myself.
Yeah,
Thus the hospital. It's like me and the doctors.
there's got to be. I know. Yeah, you got to have somebody other than your doctor as one of your support members.
Well, he keeps me alive. I'm like, Mr. or Dr. Saito. He's like, Johnny, was it already April? I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah.
right. They know.
Oh,
Based on your records, you must be coming up on a new tank.
oh yeah. All right. On that note, all right, we're out of here, man. We're time's up, dude. It's 2:30. Can you believe we've been doing this for like an hour and a half?
That's fantastic.
That's unbelievable, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. Let's do the news next time when we do after. How about this? We'll do a Nihonshu episode. We'll get
With
like
news.
bottles with news. So we'll review Nihonshu. We'll discuss it, and then we'll read the news. So I have like 10 articles, and these articles are off the hook. I might do maybe a separate show, right? Just read the news or something later this week. But yeah, Faders, thank you so much
Thanks,
for
everyone.
tuning into this very, very special episode of Got Fitted Japan. Definitely check out all our sponsors and definitely go to our Patreon, support the show. And a very special shout out goes to you, Matthew, man.
Thank you.
So much for your
Johnny,
time.
thank you,
Fucking
man.
great meeting you and hanging out with you, man. All right, Faders, on that note, we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, be
Peace.
well, everyone. Peace.
Oh, shit, I didn't record.
Are you serious?
No, I'm joking. Wait, now that I said